You are now listening to Creative Hora.
Hi everyone, welcome to Creative Hora. I'm Dalia,
And I'm Mary.
and we're so excited to welcome you back for a conversation with two friends.
Yes, super excited about our conversation between us, friend. But as you know, the usual, we always start with a quick friend vibe check. So, friend, how have you been lately at this specific moment?
Yes, friend, I love this. I love getting started with a quick check in. It's always so grounding and just take a moment to reflect. And I will say that in the present moment, I'm feeling very joyful and excited.
Hmm.
I always, we're almost halfway through February now, so it feels like the year has already, picked up quite quickly. But the last few weeks I've just been really excited exploring, new hobbies and exploring,
Okay.
just like a lot of exploring within and out, and it's just been really nice. So it's made for a lot of internal joy alignment.
Yeah, no, I would love to hear more about the new hobbies and joys that you've added into your wellness toolkit and creativity toolkit. So I know we'll dive deeper into that in a little bit.
Yes, absolutely, friend. But how are you doing and how are things on your end as well?
Yeah, to be honest, I think it right now I feel really good. I do think I've been in an ebb and flow phase with just career things, but then that I don't want to like let it impact my whole personal life either. So I do try to maintain a balance with just the areas of opportunities in like my career in healthcare and just questioning it. So that's what I mean by ebb and flow is like there's certain parts of my life, like my career where I'm questioning, but then there's other parts of my personal life, like my relationship with my partner, my relationship with myself are like there's no question about it. It's more so just continuing the exploratory phase, continuing the adventurous phase. Um, so I think maintaining presence in both areas that are big parts of my life has caused a little bit of ebb and flow, but I do think I do find my way back to being grounded and just being present in what like the values that matter to me a lot more than maybe others that do not. So I do think prioritizing again my personal life with my partner, with myself, and with my family does help me ground back when I'm having those moments of contentions or moments of questioning. So
Yeah.
that's where I'm at, friend.
Yeah, friend. And there's definitely so many ups and downs even at the
Hmm.
beginning of the month. And I'm sure with the birthday, you had a birthday recently as well. There's a lot of reflection that happens in that time period. But
Right.
I'm so happy to hear that your partnership and your personal life, you're feeling very supported in that area, which is so important.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, super grateful for yeah, like my personal life with my relationships with friends and family and just have this platform with you too to just take a step back and pause and just reflect and feel and just express. So thank you for having the space.
Absolutely, friend. And I'm so thankful for this platform as well. But as we transition, I know we've been pulling a card to
Yes.
learn more about each other. And yeah, let's see what is available for us today.
Yeah, and again, just a reminder for the audience, these are called icebreaker deeper talk cards. And again, it's just any tool is a tool for creating more deeper conversations between friends, family, or even partners. So let's see what category we can pick, friend. So again, just as a reminder, the gray is dreams, yellow is life lessons, a teal green is exposed, a baby blue color is courage, orange is beliefs, and then a darker blue is self-awareness. Any particular category that came that's spark out and I can pull a
Friend,
card?
I feel like I've been picking the last few
Have
weeks,
you?
so yeah, I'm gonna throw it back to you,
Okay,
and I'm
okay.
gonna let you
I'm gonna
pick
say
the what stands out to you.
okay, let's do dreams. Let's see. Okay. This is great. All right. Let's see what question we get for dreams. Okay. So this one says, what do people say you can't do that you're sure you could if you really tried?
Hmm.
That's a good one. Um, what can people what do people say you can't do, but if you they but you sure you could if you really try?
Hmm. Okay, the first thing that came to mind, and I'm gonna have to roast myself here, but I've shared on the podcast that I don't have rhythm. I
I
don't
do
have
remember that.
rhythm. It's so I feel like when I dance, I just have fun, I enjoy the music. But I've become aware in the last few weeks as I've been connecting more with my body and like trying to tune in to like music and vibes that I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, obviously like I realized that I don't have rhythm, but at the same time, the more I've been paying attention to my body and my movement, I felt like I've been getting more connected to rhythm and movement. So
Mm.
I guess people around me will say I don't have rhythm. And but I've noticed that just in being more committed to getting connected with my body and my movement, I feel like more. I'm not saying I'm like, oh my gosh, like I got rhythm all of a sudden, but I'm working towards it, and I can feel like
Mhm.
more organically, like the beats and the with music, like if I'm playing if I'm rollerblading and I have a song and like I'm trying to
Mhm.
like rollerblade to the rhythm, and it's getting so much easier for me. And honestly, in the past that'd be something where I'm like, no, I just dance for fun, I don't care, it's fine. But now I'm like, okay, I'm feeling it in my body, and it feels more connected now that I've been more committed to that practice.
Yeah, no, I feel you on that front. I do remember you saying roasting yourself and saying you don't have rhythm, but yeah, I'm interested to hear the evolution of you connecting with your body and slowly kind of debunking that idea that you don't have rhythm when organically or naturally was more so perhaps the connection to your body was needed, not necessarily because you didn't have
Yeah.
rhythm. So yeah, I'd love to hear more about that.
Yeah, friend. Yeah, I think that's absolutely true. I think it has a lot to do with just a disconnect with my body. I tend to be someone that is, and I like many of us can be very much in our heads, overthinking quite a bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, one of my biggest wellness practices have been trying to find ways to come back to my body
Mhm.
and be present. That's the
Mhm.
reason why I chose to start, rollerblading. It's something that's really challenging for me, but it really forces me to be in my body. And I shared this with you that I feel like in um, picking up this hobby, I'm relearning, even how to walk.
Mm.
And that's
Yeah.
so funny. But there's small things that I've noticed in my body that I had never realized. Like, for example,
So
I had a
interesting, yeah.
yeah, I realized that when I walked, I wasn't really bending my legs, which is such a funny thing to say. But I just I started to realize and be more intentional about when I'm walking, I'm bending my legs. And at first I felt so weird. I felt like I was like a baby bird that was just learning to walk for the first
Yeah.
time.
That's
But
so
now that I've
awesome.
been like being more intentional, I feel
Yeah.
like it feels really organic, and I'm like, oh wow, it makes sense. Like it's really helping my movement. Just bending my knees more is helping my movement in my hips, and I feel
Mhm.
like it's unlocking a lot of power there that I didn't realize I
Mm.
had.
Mhm.
I do a lot of work sometimes with my chakras and
Yeah.
my internal energy, and so the energy that I feel like I'm unlocking is my root chakra, which, if the audience who may not know what the root chakra represents, it's typically this red energy that represents feeling safe in your body, feeling grounded. Um, Typically, it's probably the energy center that is the most important to start working with, just because it's at the bottom. It's at, like, typically by your lower back.
Okay.
And so, yeah, I've been doing a lot of work with my root chakra, with
Oh,
bending
wow.
my knees more, being more intentional about the way I'm walking, being intentional with my
Mhm.
movement. And it does feel like I'm unlocking a lot of power there and just feeling
Mm.
more comfortable in my body.
Yeah, no, I love that friend, and honestly, it was so funny when you mentioned when you shared with me that, yeah, I didn't bend my knees when I walked. I was like, "Wait, what?" So now next time we get together, I'm gonna check it out and see like, "Is she bending her knees?" Because that's so funny.
It's
No, I
so
love that
funny,
friend.
yeah.
Thank you for sharing. Hmm. I think for me, okay, I think I'd go with like cooking and more so cooking complicated meals. 'Cause right now, even in my relationship with Amani, she is the cook, and no one if you were to ask anybody night and day who cooks, they would think it's just her, which, I mean, it is true, but I think I've taken on this role of sous chef of I'll prep, I'll
Mm-hmm.
clean up, I'll whatever, give you the teaspoons or and such. And I do think it's not to a point where, like, if she didn't cook, I wouldn't survive. Definitely not that. Like, I meal prep, but it's more like basic meals. But I
Hmm.
do think it's in me. Like, if I really tried to follow a very complicated recipe, I can do it. Like, I can create some good meals. So I do think that's one that if I just really tried and had the patience to follow a recipe, because I think my brain also was like, "Yeah, let me just go a little bit offside to the recipe." There's something about following directions, like recipes, that doesn't completely resonate with me or I have a little less patience of with,
Hmm.
but I've gotten better over time because again, Amani loves to cook sometimes more complicated meals where we need to follow the recipe to the T.
Hmm.
But again, if she was like, "No, I'm not cooking this complicated meal. You cook it." Like, I'm sure if I really tried, people would be surprised.
Yes, yes, friend. I definitely think so too. I feel like you have such a deep love for food. And I mean, we all love food, but you are a foodie, like, through and through. And,
Yeah.
one of the things that we really bond over is, trying new restaurants, trying new different foods. So I feel
Yes.
like that love and that passion is already in you.
Yeah.
That, yeah, like, if you wanted to, commit to, trying out new recipes or trying new experimenting with cooking. um, yeah, I do think that you definitely would surprise people, and you definitely have it in you.
Yeah, I think so too, because I do think also cooking is an art. It's creative. It's, even to the point of creating like having all these different pieces of ingredients and then boom, you have a really nice meal of some sort. Is like, wow, like all of that putting together and then to create something that's one delicious, two maybe aesthetically appealing to look at. Because I do like also the plating of things and
Mm.
yeah, so I do think it's such a creative process to cook. So yeah, I think again, if someone were to challenge me and say like, "Nah, you can't cook," then I've tried really hard. That's
That, yeah. I'm so curious, friend. Do you
Mhm.
feel connected to your palate, like, with, like, certain spices, or how they hit your tongue, and, like, do you feel that connection?
So you know what's funny? Well, not funny, maybe, but it's interesting because I have a really not the best sense of smell, and this was like
Mm.
before COVID. Like I think generally I just didn't have like I couldn't really things need to be really, really strong or just like again, like the smell has to be really strong for me to smell something, even
Yeah.
good or bad. So I think it does impact my taste buds. And maybe that's why
Hmm.
I'm not so such a picky eater and while I'm willing to try
Mm-hmm.
anything, because like texture doesn't really impact me, taste, like bitterness or umami taste doesn't really impact me. So I don't know if I'm connected fully because of, again, just like how I have not the strongest sense of smell, so I think it does
Yeah.
impact my taste bud. But I do think it's a good and bad because one, it allows me to try just whatever and allows me to eventually connect to the taste once I'm trying it out. But then I think the other part is like, would I know like what spices I like the most or what type of palette I
Mm-hmm.
like the most when I'm just like all of them. So yeah, I think it's interesting. I don't know if I'm like fully connected because of, again, my the issue with my sense of smell, but I do think it's helpful where I can eventually connect once I'm trying that new taste or
Yeah.
new texture. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely fine. It's different once you're like moving forward with the intention of like trying to understand, like the spices that are most interesting to you, or the
Mhm.
way the different combinations that you like. Because to your point, while it is an art, it has like some basic, um like understandings of, I think, just like your taste and what you
Yeah.
prefer.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so maybe I should get that checked eventually.
Yeah, I think you probably you have it in you. I think you just haven't been like, okay, let me just try this one, see what it tastes like. If I like it, like, like isolated from
I
the other
know.
spices.
Yeah,
Uh
definitely, friend.
yes, friend. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. Let's check in with each other in like a couple months and be like, hey, are you dancing better? Are you cooking?
I know, right? Am I cooking yet by myself?
Yeah,
No, I love that, friend. Let's
I
do
love
it.
that. All right, we will definitely hold each other accountable.
Yeah.
But friend, one thing that I was really excited to chat with you about in this conversation, was a little bit of a pulse check on our creative journey. I know that's been a big focal
Mhm.
point of our discussions, and I've really appreciated learning from you around your creative journey and what you and your partner are doing, starting a basketball league for queer people of color, no straight men. I love saying that.
I know, right?
But yeah, I'm so excited to catch up on how things are going. I know that you're doing a lot of promotion, trying to
Mhm.
get folks to sign up. So yeah, I want to hear
Mhm.
all about it, um and I'm also excited to share about updates on my creative journey as well.
Yeah, I think since we last talked, the league launched, and there are a couple things. I think I'll focus the updates on some lessons learned because there
Hmm.
has been things that unfolded since the promotion. So a lot of, again, like my partner and I are starting this community basketball hub for women and the LGBTQIA folks in the DC, Maryland, Virginia region. And one part of that hub is a basketball league. And initially, in our last, when I last spoke about it, we had secured, in quotes, what we thought was a partnership with the county. Um, and I do think we got to the point where we're a couple months in, we were heavy on the marketing and recruitment and doing our own thing separate from the county. Um, but then we reached a point where we were questioning, like, wait a minute, we don't have a contract with them. We don't have just anything outlining our efforts and contributions. So just a couple of weeks ago, we actually was like, hey, what the heck? Let's just ask. Like, why not? Um, So we wrote up a really just detailed email saying outlining the efforts we've been putting in time and even social media ad marketing, like not a lot of funds invested in, but
Yeah.
still some. But majority of it was like time and effort and just, again, the marketing pool and like creating flyers, creating social media posts, going around in the community, like really doing grassroots work of handing out flyers, posting our flyers in coffee shops or even recreation centers where we people would see it. So we draft up an email like to the county that we were to the county supervisor that we were again like in touch with. And we get hit with like a I don't say like a bombshell, but essentially saying like, "Oh no, we've been kind of like we've misinterpreted the partnership." Essentially, we're like, "Okay, what does that mean?"
Mm-hmm.
And I think and we weren't. So one lesson here is like when we approached them initially in the conversation, none of us were. We didn't walk through like the process of like what this is what the partnership means. This is what it entails. It was just kind of like I guess the adrenaline, the heat of the moment of yeah, that sounds great. But the county didn't walk us through kind of any red tapes that they would have with what a partnership means with the community. And we didn't also walk them through of like actually we're a registered business. Does this have any like implications to this partnership per se? So I think to their end, it was the first time they were hearing we were a registered LLC. And on our end, they essentially said like we cannot partner with businesses, entities like that. We thought it was
Wow.
yeah, yeah. So it was interesting. A lot of learning there. So then I think our like we just wanted more clarification with the county and we got on a call with them. And I think a lesson for sure learned was just like, okay, we were both just not I don't think it was malicious or anything, but definitely like being forthcoming about like what does this mean? How would we get, contributions and credit um for the work that we're doing? So we're in this limbo where we're like, okay, we want to see this succeed and they were very clear about we cannot have the name as part of the league because it is ran by a government funded agency and that they don't do any in quotes official partnership with businesses or
Mm-hmm.
yeah it was very interesting to navigate which to me where I'm at with it again like the lesson learned is like again we need to have just very transparent clear guidelines to what a partnership means because clearly we were in different definitions of partnerships um because even when we said like okay we're not here for any monetary exchange even though that was the initial ask but as soon as we saw like okay they're misinterpreting this we even was like regardless of without the monetary exchange of the work we're doing we just want to make sure that we're getting credit where it's due but
Yeah.
again they were just very adamant about like no we can't put the name in the league it'll just be called a women's league ran by the county which was like okay
Oh,
for the
wow.
sake of yeah and I think in the long run like in my reflection of it is okay that's fine like we're creating a bigger brand outside of the league
Mhm.
it's not just the league again it was one pillar of the hub we were trying to create so we're reshifting and processing the information but definitely like refocusing on like our bigger brand hoop as you are versus hoop as you are the league um so yeah, I'll pause there. I think yeah, a lot of lessons there about just like
Mhm.
contracts and transparency and then small business entity do working with a government funded agency. So
Yeah.
it's been a whirlwind for sure.
Yeah, friend, there's a lot to unpack there. And there's so many, connections that I make to, creators and conversations that we've had with people on this podcast around
Yeah.
some of the challenges of being the essentially the sole business owner, sometimes the person that's really, trying to drive that impact and that um, growth, even with like artists, when they're selling their different art pieces or they're putting it online, like a
True.
lot of times, like that whole business ordeal is so brand new to creatives. And so for you and Amani to go through this process and have so much that you're already like learning and unpacking together, it's only going to make your brand stronger. And this
Mhm.
partnership with this county is just another part of that
Mhm.
process and that lesson.
Yeah.
I'm so curious, friend,
Yeah.
hearing back from this organization that there was a misinterpretation, I guess, in the
Yeah.
partnership.
Yeah.
How did that make you and Amani feel as creatives and business owners of this project, because I know
Yeah.
that you all are so um, hold like I wouldn't say perfectionist, but y'all are very do your research. You're prepared. That's the word I was looking for. Prepared. You're prepared. So
Yeah.
I'm just curious, like, how did that feedback, how did that learning make you both feel?
Yeah, absolutely at first, face value annoyed as fuck. Like, annoyed as fuck. Because we were in communication with two cis men.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, okay. But I think once we again the initial knee jerk reaction was like, this is annoying. Like, this is what is happening. Like, how is this community partnership? Like, it was I think as a recreation center for the community, you're catering to your county residents, and here we are, two county residents who's trying to bring forth a very just honest and well-intended programming, and we're offering our services, but unfortunately those services weren't seen.
Mm-hmm.
Our recruitment effort or just our value add as people in the community, people who are representing the league that they're putting on, wasn't seen. So I think that's the initial gut feeling that we both felt, was like extremely annoyed, extremely like, what the fuck. um but then when I finally took a step back and was like validated the feelings of annoyance, even feeling of like, damn, are they just using us? Like, what?
Mm-hmm.
um I think at the end of it, I was able to process that feeling and validate it and allowed ourselves to feel annoyed and just like, what the heck. But then I think what helped me ground back was like, okay, like, we're creating a business. This is part of the business
Yeah.
process of creating a brand that is not going to make money in a year or two or whatever. It might take a few years, and it might take failed relationships like this in order for us to continue building momentum. So I do think it helped me ground back. In terms of like when we heard the news about it, and then I do think I also felt proud because my Amani and I were very, very vocal about, okay, screw
Yeah.
this, we know everything, we know we can't have her name, but we want to make sure, like, we were just very upfront with them of like, y'all, this would not be successful without us. And
Mm-hmm.
it got even more annoying at that point, even though we were so vocal, because they were like, well, we're gonna try, and if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. I'm sure we'll try again. It had like just a very blasé attitude
Mm-hmm.
towards it, because the way they were framing it in the most PC way was that we don't put special attention to any programming because, county sports have youth and then adults and then the seniors. They're like, we try to put equal marketing promotions, let's just say, or equal attention to each one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I think, again, I think I was just also just, even with the annoyance, I was proud of us to be very vocal of, this is our value and we know this will not be successful without us. But hey, we're just gonna voice how we're feeling about it, but we understand the parameters now.
Mm.
And then we were also very vocal about like, this like, we just want to make sure that if this is successful, y'all know that it wasn't just because of y'all, it was because of our
Yes.
recruitment efforts.
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
I think leading with that and ending the conversation with like, again, we're not here to like exploit the county's res or resources. We're not here. Initially, yeah, we wanted some monetary compensation, but we understood that quickly. That's, as offerings for the residents, you guys, like, it's obvious, yes, of course, that's not your main priority, is to profit off the offerings. But again, I think we had the intention of making it known how we felt about the misunderstanding, or even
Yeah.
as we tried to
Yes.
negotiate with them,
Yes.
like, we just let them know that we know our worth and we know that this will not be successful without us, and we're going to process this information, but do know that if this is successful, it's not because of y'all. So I think
Mm.
that's where we left it, and that's where we felt most confident, and we just walked away from the conversation feeling like, yeah, this sucks, and yeah, this is annoying as fuck,
Mm-hmm.
but hey, we said our 2 cents, we know our intentions, and And we've ultimately decided that we want to see the league successful for the greater community of having a
Mhm.
women's league. So we're still gonna put our best foot effort, but it is again like to end this kind of saga is like I do think a lot of people know it as already hired the league even
Yeah,
after
yeah. It's too late for that.
but whatever. You're gonna call it hired the league and we're not gonna tell them
Yes.
anything. But we'll be honest with future promotions that this is a county league. We're not like our name is not on it, but a lot of people
Mhm.
know it as higher already. So fuck that.
Yes. Yes. You know what? This is like the first step of y'all getting your leads, building your brand. Like, the
Exactly.
county's giving you the resources, the gym, the scoreboard, all these things that are so critical. People are going to come in, and because I know the type of women that you are, they're going to love it. They're going to build community, and that community exists outside this,
Yes.
county league. That's something
Exactly.
that's your leads. Those are your community members, and yeah, you can only build from there. So I'm so proud of you all and the way you handle that,
Yeah.
advocating for yourselves, advocating for
Yeah.
your needs. And even if it didn't turn out, the way that you both anticipated, getting a contract, getting, that validation in something formal, I still like think it's so powerful that you both like spoke up, wrote an email, made your intention known, and that's like honestly like the stepping stones towards you building the brand and getting out there. And you know what, I'm like that, I feel like that's such an incredible story to share with our audience about a small business. You're building this creative brand, with a purpose, and there's learnings, there's ups and downs, but yeah, I'm so excited to see this league go through, have the tournaments, hear about that as well, because I feel like that community that you all are building is going to be so worth it and so impactful.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, friend. So yeah, no, I know like I spoke a lot there. Um
Friend, I'm so excited to talk to you about my creative journey as well. Thank you so much for sharing with the audience about some of the things that you and Imani have been working through with your creative project, Aya, Hoop As You Are. But to share a little bit about myself, I know I've been chatting about, finding this creative spark and, being able to really direct this creative spark towards a creative project that I'm passionate about. One of the biggest questions that I've been working through has been, what is that project for me? What does that look like? Where do I want to dedicate my time, my passion, and my creativity to? And to be quite honest, this journey has been very difficult, but also very rewarding. I say difficult because it's been really hard to narrow down what I'm passionate about, what I want to spend my time doing. And what I really have focused on in the past few weeks is really have gone back to basics. And what I mean by that is going back to, the things that I love doing, the hobbies that I want to dedicate my time to really build a foundation for that creative project that I'm going to be working towards. Before I jump into that, one of the things that has been, super important is community. I mentioned in previous episodes that I really wanted to spend more time in community, wanted to spend more time, working with creators on the floor. But to be quite honest, it's been a big challenge for me. It's been very hard for me to get out there and be a part of events. It's actually one of the things that I have felt has been the biggest difficulty for me. And so I am mentioning that, one, because I want to be transparent, and two, because I really appreciate the accountability of, checking in the next episode and really appreciating that aspect of being able to track my progress. I was listening to previous episodes, friend, and I heard that's something that I mentioned in the previous episode, and it was a nice check-in for me, a nice accountability about my progress. But one of the things that I would say has been the most rewarding in this creative journey has been really just reconnecting with myself, my body, my um, my self worth and values. So I've been feeling very aligned internally in this creative process. I've been really dedicated to the hobbies that I care about with the people that I care about. One of those hobbies I mentioned was movement and roller skating and really focusing on that craft. And that's been something that brings me immense joy. Obviously, it's so scary. I don't want to fall. But it has brought me so much immense joy as I've put more dedication to this hobby, more time, more practice, and especially as it's a hobby that I get to share with my siblings and my niece. It's something that's just really bringing my family together and this interest that I really, really love. The second piece to that is that I've really been more involved in engaging my hobbies like reading with other people that are also close in my community. So I joined a book club, and this has been something that actually brought me a lot of joy as well. Being able to talk about the books that I'm reading. I'm a talker. I have a lot of opinions, and having a safe space to do so has just brought me so much happiness and has made me feel so connected to the small community. So shout out to my book club. I'm so thankful for you. Um, and the last piece of this creative journey that I really want to focus on is this connection with my body through movement. I've really been focused on making a practice of running and making sure that this is something that I'm not just doing for my wellness and my physical health, but doing so as a practice to be more in my body, that I'm feeling, my breath and my movement. And it has really allowed me to feel so empowered and safe within myself. So in this creative journey, I feel like I'm really building the blocks to feel centered. And this is so essential as I'm working towards expressing and sharing this back with community. Like I said, that aspect has been a challenge for me, but I am really thankful that I'm on this journey. And I've seen, since I started this focus on centering myself as a creative life project, I've noticed so many changes within. And I mentioned this at the beginning of the podcast, Fran, but just feeling that security and feeling safe in my body has been so important, especially when I tend to be someone that um, I can get very distracted or impacted by the energies around me, or the current events that are happening. It's so important for me to have these hobbies, these creative outlets that are really empowering me to feel safe in my environment and safe in who I am. And so, yeah, I'm really excited about this progress. I'm excited to continue to check in. And to my audience and to our audience, I my question to you all is, what creative milestones are you excited to share with the community?
Thanks for tuning in. Creative Hora is a podcast production hosted by Dalia Zaragoza and Mary Figueroa. This episode is edited by Abdullah Kawish and is produced by akstudio.global.